devices. Thank you. Your greeters at the door today is Public Works Director Kevin Gray and Police Captain Chris Ruse. To my far right and your far left, we have Recording Secretary Taylor Lockhart, City Clerk Susan Dodris, Deputy Mayor, Zone 1 Commissioner Lori Tolland.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome.
Zone 2 Commissioner Travis Sargent.
Good evening, welcome.
And to my right and your left, we have Commissioner Kristen Deaton, Zone 3.
Good evening, everyone.
Zone 4 Commissioner Harold Briley.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome.
City Manager Joyce Shanahan.
Good evening.
Assistant City Manager Claire Whitley. And we have Sean Finley in the front row. City Attorney Randy Hayes. And all the way to my far left and your far right, we have Police Chief Jesse Godfrey and Fire Chief Howard Bailey. And I'm Mayor Jason Leslie. At this time, I'd like to call up Pastor Neil Gansel from Coquina Presbyterian Church to do the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Father, we thank you for the privilege of having a free government in our town. Thank you, Father, for our representatives being up here. Thank you for the staff. We thank you, Father, for our police department and the fire department and all the public works people, every part of our government that in this city we think performs very well in what they do. We ask you to bless this meeting tonight with wisdom for all those who speak, and may all of us enjoy and really enjoy being in a nation where there's a democracy and the people have a right to sit at meetings like this and make their views known and to interact with people we've elected to be our governance. Thank you for each one of those sitting up here. We pray that you give them wisdom tonight. I pray these things all in the name of my Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We're going to move on to number 4, which is presentations and proclamations. And at this time, I'd like to call Steve Brockett to the front of the dais, please. Steve, how are you? It's good to see you again. So I want to give you a coin here, and I want to give you the proclamation, and I'm just going to ask you to hold it up here while I'm reading it for you. Whereas Steve Brockett has dedicated 20 years of outstanding service as the air traffic manager for Robinson Aviation Incorporated at the Ormond Beach Municipal Airport Air Traffic Control. Since the facility opened in 2004, he has led with unmatched professionalism and a strong commitment to the safety and the success of the Federal Aviation Administration Contract Tower Program. And whereas Steve's leadership has been instrumental in achieving a perfect safety record for the tower, earning national recognition from the American Association of Airport Executives and the U.S. Contract Tower Association. And whereas Steve has made significant contributions to national defense through his support of Exercise America's Shield and regularly participated in public outreach efforts and safety meetings with local airports, going above and beyond to prioritize the safety of the flying public and local community. And whereas Steve's retirement marks the conclusion of a distinguished era at the Ormond Beach Air Traffic Control Tower, leaving a lasting legacy of leadership, safety, and service to both the aviation community and the city of Ormond Beach. Now, where therefore I, Jason Leslie, Mayor of the city of Ormond Beach, do hereby proclaim January 7th, 2025 as a day to honor and recognize Steve Brockett. Congratulations. Gotta do a picture, I'm sorry. So what we do is here, we just put this name right here. And at this time, I'd like to call up Chief Jesse Godfrey, and the rest of the officers are in the room here too. Hey, I know I owe you this coin. Okay, and here's your proclamation here. All right, fellas. It's a long one. Oh, I'm sorry. No, she was on the list here. On in. We're doing human trafficking. Yes, they'll come all get in there. Yes, there you go. All right, now we're all good. Okay. Whereas human trafficking involves the recruitment, harboring, transportation, provision, or obtaining of a person for labor or services through the use of force, fraud, or intimidation for the purpose of forced labor or sexual servitude. And whereas human trafficking is a $150 billion global criminal enterprise and a grave violation of civil and human rights. It is an estimated over 50 million people worldwide are currently victims of human trafficking. And whereas traffickers prey on victims by promising a life of hope and opportunity only to deliver enslavement and exploitation, with traffickers unjustifiably profiting from the labor and suffering of their victims. Victims are subjected to violence and forced to work in brothels, factories, farms, fishing vessels, private homes, and countless other industries. Human trafficking is a modern form of one of the oldest and most barbaric types of exploitation. And whereas January is Human Trafficking Prevention Month, and January 11th is observed as Human Trafficking Awareness Day, this is a time to renew our commitment to eradicate this enslavement, sorry, I lost my spot here, raise awareness, and educate the public. Pledge efforts to end this horrific practice that exploits and harms innocent victims around the world, and commit to creating effective victim services and criminal justice responses to assist victims of human trafficking. And whereas the city is proud to participate in the 100% Club initiative led by Attorney General Ashley Moody and the Florida Alliance to End Human Trafficking, we recognize the importance of equipping the community with the tools necessary to spot and report suspicious activity related to human trafficking to ensure a safer and more informed environment for all. Now, therefore, I, Jason Leslie, Mayor of the City of Ormond Beach, do hereby proclaim January 25th, 2025 as Human Trafficking Awareness Month.
I don't even know who you are. Who are you?
Thank you. Yeah, that's it. All right, ready? Whereas National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day was established in 2015 by Concerns of Police Survivors, COPS, to acknowledge the sacrifices and contributions made by law enforcement officers across the country. And whereas COPS offers a national support network for families and coworkers who have lost a loved one in the line of duty, as well as positive recognition of officers doing good work every day. And whereas law enforcement officers rarely receive the recognition they deserve for the challenging and selfless work they do, They are tasked with making difficult decisions in the best interest of the law and the safety of the communities they serve. And whereas officers are not just part of our community, they are our neighbors, friends, and family members. They are the ones who bravely run towards danger when everyone else is running away. It is important to show our appreciation for their dedication and bravery. And whereas on National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day, we come together to honor and recognize the bravery, sacrifice, and dedication of law enforcement officers. Now, therefore, I, Jason Leslie, Mayor of the City of Ormond Beach, do hereby proclaim January 7th, 2025 as National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move to 5, audience remarks. This time we'll hear from those of you who have signed a card to speak about any item which is not on the printed agenda for this meeting, as well as any items on the consent agenda. Each person will be given 3 minutes. I have some cards here, so I will start with Alan Burton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Alan Burton, 915 Ocean Shore Boulevard, Ormond Beach. I've been a citizen here for, since the last 100 years, back in the 20th century. But I do love Ormond Beach quite a bit, and I also really like and love the people here. And over the last year, I would like to say thanks to the City Commission and Commissioner Tolland for shepherding all the research behind the landscape ordinance, which I think soon you'll get. But I think the work there was very good. I appreciated it. I attended the meetings, and I was just moved by the time and detail that the city manager and her staff went through meticulously to go through the ordinance, and I really do appreciate content, so to speak. And then also with the staff, I would also like to let you know that how much respect and admiration I have for Steve Spraker. He did a great job. He's a good man. So just realize that there's a lot of good people that work here in the city of Ormond Beach. Now, this Thursday, I would like to also invite you to regrow the loop workshop. We'll get there. And they've rebranded it to Regrow Volusia. And it'll be at the county chambers about 1:30, and I really appreciate the current and previous Zone 2 Commissioner, Troy Kent, for bringing that forward with the county as well. And that, again, that's at 1:30, and hopefully we can do a lot of good things again in 25 like we have in the last 2 years. And I do want to remind you, just in case you get caught up with all the football season here, especially if you're a Bear fan. That's a joke. Not funny, okay. That Arbor Day is coming up next Friday, and I think you'll find that that will be a good place to go. And I also would ask the mayor if you could humbly accept my donation of $100 towards the Peggy Johnette Kent Tree Fund. This way I can start the year off on the right foot. So I probably would ask if I could approach the city clerk and give it to her, if that's okay with you,
Yes,
Mr. Mayor?
yes, and thank you, Alan. We
All right.
really appreciate it.
Thank you, thank you.
Next up, I'll call Patrick Murphy.
Patrick Murphy, Vice President of Training at Sunrise Aviation out at the airport. Speaking on behalf of Steve Brockett and his 20 years of excellent service, just wanted to mention a few other things. Steve has actually had a hand, and all of the air traffic controllers out at the airport have had a hand in training not one, not 10, not 20, but thousands of pilots who are now flying in various locations here in the U.S. for airlines, but also in many foreign countries as well. And I wanted to thank him for putting up with I'm a pilot, all of our mistakes, all of our garbled transmissions, all of our say again comments, and he's put up with a lot. So really, my sincere thanks to Steve Brockett. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Next up, Jennifer Bright.
We are truly in a fight for our lives and beliefs. It is now or never. It is a time to take back this once great country and restore its life-sustaining, honorable principles. To do that, we must start at the local level with our neighbors and friends. I want you to understand that property rights mean much more than owning a house and some land. And those who rent also need to understand that they may have a lease, but it will be as useful as toilet paper when the professed elites are ready to take charge. The policies and the powers behind them are systematically changing our culture and our system of government to impose a political agenda of top-down control at every level. Elected officials are pressured by a multitude of private organizations, planners, county, state, and federal agencies armed with grants to impose specific regulations in the name of sustainable development. Grants issued in conjunction with government sustainability initiatives contain stipulations or implementation practices that are the primary doorway for Agenda 21. Development to enter our community. NGOs have close ties to HUD, EPA, and DOT sustainability initiatives and promote Agenda 21 through their regional and community work. Conservation easements, of which contain ill-defined clauses that severely restrict property owners' rights, reduce property values, and favor the land trust for future contract changes. Governments and agencies consume more and more land by claiming it is for the people, the economy, and the environment. The entirely friendly terminology just arms most opposition. In fact, sustainable development implements a misguided program harmful to all three. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Next up is Jeff Boyle.
Jeff Boyle, 614 North Halifax Drive. Now that you've heard the doom and gloom, I'd like to talk about everything that's right about this city. First of all, it begins with the commission. I thought the last 2 years were the two most remarkable in the history of the city commission, dealing with the fuel terminal issue and Tomoka Oaks. Never have our citizens been more engaged, and they were encouraged to be engaged. And that engagement was vital to the positive outcomes we've had so far and those outcomes that we anticipate. We have the best manager on the planet, the best city attorney, the best chief financial officer. If you average the tenure of all three, it's in excess of 25 years. So we've had great continuity. Our police and fire are the best. The morale of the people who serve and protect us is the best. And they go the extra mile because in our terrific Observer, Ormond Observer, which covers our government so well, so objectively and professionally. There were some photos this week about our first responders going the extra mile outside of their duties to reach out to the community. We've seen a lot of positive work environments all across the city, and that may explain why the morale is so high and turnover is so low. We also have great citizen boards. People have volunteered over the years and helped make Ormond as great as it is. Our assessed property value in this city, in excess of $5 billion. That provides a great revenue stream and also low property taxes. And I've been paying property taxes on my home for 45 years. My mother's paid property taxes on her home for 43 years. My sister for 4 years. And she didn't get a homestead exemption until this year because she rebuilt the home at 103 Neptune. And we know that we have a bargain. You look at the residential neighborhoods in this city. They're the most beautiful residential neighborhoods on the planet. And we live in paradise with a wonderful beach, 2 rivers, great climate, conservation areas on the northern boundary of our city. We're in a very good place. So I wish you good luck for the next 2 years. There are going to be more challenges. It's not going to be easy. I'll be back here to disagree with some policies, but thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. With that said, I don't see any more cards, so we're going to move on to line 6 here, the approval of the minutes. The minutes for the December 3rd, 2024 regular City Commission meeting and December 27th, 2024 special City Commission meeting have been sent to the Commission for review and posted to the city's website. Does anyone have any corrections or changes?
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the ayes have it. We're going to move on to 7 now, the consent agenda.
6B.
Oh, 6 what?
6B, the approval of minutes of December 27th.
I read it though.
We did the first one, I believe.
Oh, it's not a one motion for both of them?
No.
Oh, okay, sorry. So,
Move approval for 6B.
okay,
Second.
okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Objections? The ayes have it. Now we'll move on to 7, consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are deemed routine and non-controversial. The action proposed is stated for each item. Unless the City Commission removes an item from the consent agenda, no discussion on individual items will occur and a single motion will approve all items. Does any member of the Commission wish to pull any items from the consent agenda at this time?
I'd like to pull 7HH.
Okay. Okay, would anybody else like to pull any other items? Oh,
I would like
Holland?
to pull consent agenda T and double C.
I'm just trying to find it.
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, I'll move approval of the consent agenda minus the pulled items.
Hold on, we're waiting for
I'm sorry.
Commissioner Sargent.
Sorry.
Paul, aye, Mr. Mayor.
Aye, okay.
My apologies, Mr.
No, it's
Mr.
okay.
Sergeant.
That's okay. Do you want to make an approval now, a motion?
Approval of the consent agenda minus the pulled items.
Okay. Call this vote, please, Secretary.
Commissioner Tolland?
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent?
Yes.
Commissioner Deaton?
Yes.
Commissioner Briley?
Yes.
Mayor Leslie?
Yes. Okay, so we're going to move to 7H. H?
I think I. You can do I first.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I was looking at, I saw it up there. I was like, Secretary, can you read I for me?
Okay, resolution number 2025-09, a resolution appointing trustees to serve on the Police Officers Pension Trust Fund Board, establishing terms and conditions of service and setting forth an effective date. This is resolution number 2025-09, read by title only.
Move approval.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Not discussion.
Any discussion?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
I just wanted to ask the city attorney if where we stand with Brian Henderson serving on this board. I know there was discussion at the workshop regarding his ability to serve, so just wanted some clarification, see if where we are.
It's the same answer. It's a problem with the dual office holding provision. So
very well. Thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion? Do we have a motion to approve? The way it
That
was?
is.
Okay. So we have a second?
Seconded.
Okay.
Just call the vote.
Yeah.
Commissioner Sargent?
Yes.
Commissioner Deaton?
Yes.
Commissioner Briley?
Yes.
Commissioner Tolland?
Yes.
Mayor Leslie?
Yes. And we're going to move on to,
T?
yeah, I'm just looking for it.
Is T my next one? Yes, T.
Susan, could you read T for us?
Yes. Resolution number 2025-20, a resolution appointing Lindsay Wolf as a member to serve as a commissioner on the Ormond Beach Housing Authority, setting forth term and conditions of service and setting forth an effective date. This is resolution number 2025-20, read by title only.
Move approval.
Any discussion?
Yeah, so I wanted to pull that because I was hoping that I could talk to the commission once again, that I didn't have a chance to I missed the opportunity to discuss Greg Stokes as a potential appointee for that board. I would like you all to reconsider maybe appointing him instead of Lindsay Wolf. Greg has been quality resident for over 43 years. He's been a PAL on the PAL advisory, a police officer. He understands the community. He's well respected by his peers. He's well respected in the community. And I just thought that it would be nice if we could have a discussion about that up here, if you all would think that's a good idea.
I certainly echo those comments. Greg knows the city and especially the area where we have the housing authority. He knows that area well.
Yeah.
So I would concur with that.
As do I.
I as well. I've known him for quite some time, and I think he'd be a great addition to that.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so we'll change the applicant. Right, okay. The appointment from
How do we
Lindsay
do that?
to,
Do we vote on it?
yeah.
Well, I think what I need to do is I probably need to withdraw my motion.
Yeah.
Because it's or we just need to vote it down and then vote the new name.
I think what you can do is you can just amend the motion
Okay.
to change the name to Greg Stokes.
Then I'll just amend. Did you make the motion? I'm sorry, I made the motion.
You made the motion.
Yeah, I'll
Need
amend
second.
I'll amend the motion to change the name from Lindsay Wolf to Greg Stokes.
Do we have a second? Okay, Travis will be a second. Sergeant. And call a vote, please.
Commissioner Deaton?
Yes.
Commissioner Briley?
Yes.
Commissioner Tolland?
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent?
Yes.
Mayor Leslie?
Yes. Okay, we're going to move to
Amended it.
7CC.
Disposition item titled 2025 City of Ormond Beach Legislative Action Agenda.
Move approval.
Second?
Discussion?
So I wanted to pull this item because I would like it if we could ask Brian Rademacher to come up and explain to us the legislative priorities that and how we came up with a miracle field and the stormwater. Our community has been crying a lot about flooding and the need for infrastructure and all of that. And I had reached out to staff and kind of questioned that, and I thought it would be good for all of us to hear the answers as to why those two projects were suggested.
Brian, can you come up?
Good evening, Mayor, City Commission. With regards to our Fallujah legislative priorities, every year we go through a process where staff meets with our lobbyist, Doug Bell with Metz Husband and Daughton, to understand the issues that are going on in Tallahassee with the state and the House of Representatives and the Senate. And we also look at the priorities that the City Commission has put forward in its strategic plan, as well as looking at projects in our CIP that are shovel-ready or near shovel-ready. A lot of times when municipalities are seeking funding, they seek for communities that have matching funds, but also have projects that are shovel-ready. Those are two of the things that they're really looking for. So as we looked at the priorities that we came up with, one being the Miracle Field for Parks and Recreation, and then the flood mitigation project, we decided that those were two priorities that we could find support for in Tallahassee. And just also additionally, the one for the flood mitigation was one that we had on our legislative priorities last year. We also feel that we are aware that the legislature is trying to seek to curb back the appropriations that they're giving to member communities, and so we wanted to select projects that we felt were fiscally responsible while also supporting the goals and objectives of the city.
Oh, go ahead, Joyce.
If I might add, it's important to know that there are other opportunities for grant funding for flooding issues and stormwater management through the county and through state agencies. So it's not that it's not a priority for us, but the funding source is different than the state.
Thank you, Joyce.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Deputy Mayor?
Yeah. So I appreciate that explanation. I don't have a problem at all with the priorities that were set. And when I first read it, I was like, wow, I love special populations. I think a Miracle Field is great. I mean, everyone knows I've been a leisure services advocate for a long time. But I just wanted to make sure, the residents and the rest of the commission understood, you go where the opportunity is and where the money is. And I appreciate that explanation and that hard work and that research. So thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Any other conversation? Commissioners? Thank you, Brian. At this time, is there a motion to approve? Oh, no. Oh, I'm sorry.
I have Sargent and
I
Deaton.
backed up here. Call the vote, please, Susan.
Commissioner Briley?
Yes.
Commissioner Tolland?
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent?
Yes.
Commissioner Deaton?
Yes.
Mayor Leslie?
Yes. Going to move on to 7HH.
Disposition item titled Travel Approval for City Commission.
Move approval. Second.
Discussion.
Yes, I would like to pull this item simply for education purposes due to some inquiries regarding this line item. Previous mayors have periodically attended this conference, and the current mayor has requested to as well, and we're not going to stop him. This line item is just a formality to show transparency.
Okay. Any other discussion? Call the vote, please, Susan.
Commissioner Tolland?
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent?
Yes.
Commissioner Deaton?
Yes.
Commissioner Briley?
Yes.
Mayor Leslie?
Yes. Going to move to 8 now. I will now open the public hearings. City Clerk, please read the title 8A.
Ordinance number 2024-36, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Ormond Beach, Florida, vacating a portion of Corbin Avenue, a platted public right-of-way within the property located at 1 South Beach Street, Volusia County parcel identification number 4215-14-03-0010, known as Casson Park, repealing all inconsistent ordinances or parts thereof, providing for recordation and transmittal and setting forth an effective date. This is the second reading of ordinance number 2024-36, read by title only.
Stephen Spraker, can you speak on the item?
Good evening, Stephen Spraker, Planning Director. This is a request for a right-of-way vacation. The vacation is within the Casson Park development area. We have received no objection letters from all utilities. Staff is recommending approval and available for any questions.
Thank you, Stephen.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion? Call the vote, please.
Commissioner Sargent?
Yes.
Commissioner Deaton?
Yes.
Commissioner Briley?
Yes.
Commissioner Tolland?
Yes.
Mayor Leslie?
Yes. Okay, 8B. Okay.
Sorry. Ordinance number 2024-37, An ordinance authorizing the execution and issuance of a first amended development order for a planned business development located at 251 South Atlantic Avenue, Volusia County parcel number 4214-19-07-0010, and a parcel of property along South Atlantic Avenue, Volusia County parcel number 4214-18-06-0011, known as Ormond Beach Holdings LLC, authorizing a north property line setback reduction to allow the construction of a public sidewalk and beach access improvement, establishing conditions and expirations of approval, and setting forth an effective date. This is the second reading of ordinance number 2024-37, read by title only.
Stephen, did you want to speak on that for, no? Okay.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion? Call to vote, please.
Commissioner Deaton? Yes. Commissioner Briley?
Yes.
Commissioner Tolland?
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent?
Yes.
Mayor Leslie?
Yes. 8C.
Ordinance number 2024-38, an ordinance amending Chapter 1, General Administration, Article 3, Definitions and Acronyms, Section 1-22, Definition of Terms and Words, and Chapter 2, District and General Regulations, Article 2, District Regulation, Section 2-32I-1, Light Industrial Zoning District of the City of Ormond Beach Land Development Code to amend the definition of malted beverage producer and amend the name of the use malted beverage producer to alcoholic or malted beverage manufacturer, repealing all inconsistent ordinances or parts thereof, providing for severability, and setting forth an effective date. This is the second reading of ordinance number 2024-38, read by title only.
Do any of you need the plan director to speak on this?
Move approval.
Second.
Call the vote, please.
Commissioner Briley?
Yes.
Commissioner Tolland?
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent?
Yes.
Commissioner Deaton?
Yes.
Mayor Leslie?
Yes. Okay, moving on to 8D.
Ordinance number 2024-39, an ordinance authorizing the execution and issuance of a first amended development order for a planned business development located west of I-95, north of US Highway 1, and bisected by Destination Daytona Lane, known as the Loves Having Fun PBUD Destination Daytona, authorizing a tattoo establishment as a permitted use within the planned business development, establishing conditions and expirations of approval, and setting forth an effective date. This is the second reading of ordinance number 2024-39, read by title only.
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Call the vote, please, Susan.
Commissioner Tolland?
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent?
Yes.
Commissioner Deaton?
Yes.
Commissioner Briley?
Yes.
Mayor Leslie?
Yes. 8E.
Ordinance number 2024-40, an ordinance authorizing the execution and issuance of a first amended master development plan for a planned mixed-use development located west and south of the FEC Railroad, east of the Flagler County boundary line, and north of Durance Lane and Harmony Avenue, known as the Ormond Crossings, authorizing an amendment within Track 8 to allow single-family residential uses within the residential high-density land use area, and to update the conceptual master plan for the residential land area, establishing conditions and expirations of approval, and setting forth an effective date. This is the second reading of ordinance number 2024-40, read by title only.
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Susan, call the vote, please.
Commissioner Sargent?
Yes.
Commissioner Deaton?
Yes.
Commissioner Briley?
Yes.
Commissioner Tolland?
Yes.
Mayor Leslie?
Yes. 8F.
Ordinance number 2025-01, an ordinance changing the street name of Hammond Avenue to Baltic Avenue, said street being located within the proposed Bradford Lake subdivision area, repealing all inconsistent ordinances or parts thereof, providing for transmittal and recording in the public records of Volusia County, and setting forth an effective date. This is the first reading of ordinance number 2025-01, read by title only.
So moved.
I have a card here.
I'm sorry.
A Andrew Green, I can't read the writing here, I'm sorry. That's okay. Good evening.
Hi, my name's Andrew Green, and I am a property owner on Hammond Avenue, as it was originally platted on the 12th of May 1925 as National Gardens. And I like history, so National Gardens obviously has been tore apart. It's called Save the Loop. They're developing it. I would like the name to be kept as Hammond Avenue, not Street. When they vacated the road, there was a mistake, I believe, somewhere in the land, and they changed it to Street. I just want you to look at that, because at the end of the day, there's not much left of National Gardens, and I'm on that street, and I would like it to be kept.
Okay. Any discussion on that?
Can we bring Stephen Spraker up
Yeah.
to discuss
Yeah.
that for us?
Yeah.
Good evening, Stephen Spraker, Planning Director. This is a road name change. It is within, it's not the right presentation. It's within the Bradford Lake subdivision. So the area that Mr. Green owns is this lot right here. One of the processes when you do a plat is you have to go through Volusia County, and you have to secure the street names. As Bradford Lakes was going through the process, Volusia County addressing and their GIS raised objections to the use of Hammond Avenue. So they asked us to go through this process for this item and the next item to change it to Baltic Avenue. If the commission desires not to change it, we can go back to Volusia County and say there was a policy decision to keep Hammond Avenue. Their concern from Volusia County is there are other roadways that are named Hammond, and it becomes a emergency response when there are too many similar street names.
Deputy Mayor?
So it's Hammond Avenue in Volusia County as well, or it's Hammond?
There are derivatives of Hammond, whether it be Avenue, Street, or other suffixes. So the concern is there are
For emergency reasons.
Correct.
So there's no Baltics?
That is one of the approved road names they gave us. So that's what we went with.
Are there any other Hammond Avenues?
I don't know. I know there's a Hammond Street. I know there are other Hammonds in Volusia County. Again, this was something that was brought forward as we went through the planning process. Happy to take the commission's directive back to the county.
I've just got a question, because, I mean, I know that we have, and maybe this is a new policy with the county, but I mean, there's like 3 Magnolia Avenues in Ormond Beach. It's one on the beach side, one out off of 40, and then one up in Plantation Bay, all with Ormond Beach addresses. So
I think that's what they're trying to avoid. As new subdivisions are platted, they are very strict in the names of those.
Sure, I understand, but I'm just not sure. I'm not aware of any other Hammond Avenue or Ormond Beach. I'm just not.
I make a motion to take it back to the county.
We have a second?
Second.
If I can, let me jump in here. So what you might want to do is just continue the item, and then you can ask your planning staff to go back and visit with the county staff and report back to you. And then depending on that, you can pick the item up where it's at, and either staff can withdraw it, or you can vote it down, or you can approve it, or we can kind of go from there. So that'd be my recommendation.
Okay.
So should we make a motion that we send this item back to the county
No, just
for
make a motion
further?
to continue it.
Make a motion to
And
continue.
Yeah, your staff will take it from there.
So moved?
Second.
Call the vote, please.
Commissioner Deaton?
Yes.
Commissioner Briley?
Yes.
Commissioner Tolland?
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent?
Yes.
Mayor Leslie?
Yes. Okay. Moving on to G here.
Ordinance number 2025-02, an ordinance changing the street names of Pennsylvania Avenue to Bradford Ridge Avenue and Indiana Avenue to Forest Haven Street, said streets being located within and to the north of the proposed Bradford Park subdivision area, repealing all inconsistent ordinances or parts thereof, providing for a transmittal and recording in the public records of Volusia County, and setting forth an effective date. This is the first reading of ordinance number 2025-02, read by title only.
Mr. Mayor, I'd make a motion that we continue this item as well.
Second.
Okay. Call the vote, please, Susan.
Commissioner Briley?
Yes.
Commissioner Tolland?
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent?
Yes.
Commissioner Deaton?
Yes.
Mayor Leslie?
Yes. 8H.
Ordinance number 2025-03, an ordinance amending Chapter 1, General Administration, Article 2, Administration and Enforcement, Section 1-17, Historic Landmark Preservation Board of the City of Ormond Beach Land Development Code, repealing all inconsistent ordinances or parts thereof, providing for severability and setting forth an effective date. This is the first reading of ordinance number 2025-03, read by title only.
We need Stephen Spraker to come up and speak on it.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion? Call the vote, please.
Commissioner Tolland?
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent?
Yes.
Commissioner Deaton?
Yes.
Commissioner Briley?
Yes.
Mayor Leslie?
Yes. 8I.
Ordinance number 2025-04, an ordinance amending Chapter 2, District and General Regulations, Article 2, District Regulations, Section 2-39, Reserved of the City of Ormond Beach Land Development Code to provide regulatory guidance in accordance with the Live Local Act as provided in Florida statutes, repealing all inconsistent ordinances or parts thereof, providing for severability and setting forth an effective date. This is the first reading of ordinance number 2025-04, read by title only.
Do we need the plan director to come up and speak on it?
Move approval.
Second.
Oh. Call the vote, please.
Commissioner Sargent?
Yes.
Commissioner Deaton?
Yes.
Commissioner Briley?
Yes.
Commissioner Tolland?
Yes.
Mayor Leslie?
Yes. 8J.
Resolution number 2025-30, a resolution authorizing the execution and issuance of a development order for a special exception redevelopment plan regarding Eliano's Coffee, proposed to be located at 353 West Granada Boulevard within the B-4 Central Business Zoning District, establishing conditions and expiration, date of approval, and setting forth an effective date. This is resolution number 2025-30, read by title only.
Stephen Spraker, can you come up and speak on the item?
Good evening, Stephen Spraker, Planning Director. This is a special exception redevelopment plan. It is located at 353 West Granada Boulevard. It is within the Winn-Dixie, soon to be the Aldi Shopping Center, and the property is just to the east of the Taco Bell site. This is a picture on the left of the screen is the Taco Bell site. You can see the landscape buffer to the parking lot. The parking lot is where they are seeking to establish a drive-through coffee restaurant within the parking lot. This site plan shows the overall project area. Within the downtown area, projects are allowed to go through a redevelopment plan if they can't meet the standards of the Land Development Code. There are two items which they're requesting assistance with. One is to install the landscape buffer along the Taco Bell property line. They would have to do a major realignment of the parking lot. They are seeking to take that landscape material and put it elsewhere on site in the front buffers of West Granada and Orchard. They're also requesting to waive one vehicle stacking space within the project. They also are being required to do a landscape betterment plan. So basically they'll bring those buffers along Granada and Orchard up to the Land Development Code. This is a more detailed site plan. You can see one of the site plan review committee concerns was stacking onto West Granada Boulevard. So there is a physical barrier where one could not go directly from West Granada Boulevard in the drive access aisle and get in the drive-through queue. You would have to go through the shopping center parking lot and then getting to the stacking queue for the drive-through. That's a very important part of their site plan. The project is within a concurrency exception redevelopment area, which means traditional concurrency doesn't apply. Even if traditional concurrency did apply, the project has 800 square feet, which would not require a traffic study. What we've seen and what the Institute of Traffic Engineering sees with drive-through restaurants is a lot of those trips are already on the roadway. They are going to another destination like work or school, and they get their coffee or whatever restaurant drive-through they're picking up. The planning board recommended denial by a vote of 1 to 3. They expressed concerns regarding traffic, specifically the entrance into the Winn-Dixie Shopping Center, the fact there was not a deceleration lane. That state roadway is controlled by the Florida Department of Transportation. The city could not force a deceleration lane, and quite frankly, there may not be enough room to put one in there. So the planning board recommended denial. The applicant is here to address the commission. Staff's available for any questions.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead,
just a couple of questions for staff. Stephen, I'm not, and if you can go back to the one where it shows kind of the traffic flow on the site plan. So this current Winn-Dixie is going to be converted to an Aldi and a Five Below store. So you're going to have 2 stores in that current store. You have the Winn-Dixie liquor store. Now you have all the shops off to the right. This shouldn't really affect them. And you have the Taco Bell to the west. I don't like the traffic going all the way up to the store to get into another traffic lane to come all the way back down to the coffee shop. I just think, in knowing how that parking lot has worked for so many years, it's kind of already a traffic jam, if you will, sometimes when that plaza is busy. My other question would be, and I'm not sure if this was for the Walmart, I think it was for the Winn-Dixie. When the Winn-Dixie was converted from the Walmart, we required them to put a satellite parking lot off of Lincoln Avenue because they didn't have enough parking calculations for the Winn-Dixie. So now with 2 stores and removing some of the parking for a drive-through coffee shop, will they still meet the parking calculations for the Five Below, the Aldi, the liquor store, Fletcher's, Taco Bell, and everything else that's there?
Right, so realize with the conversion to the Aldi's and a Five Below or whatever it is, it's all retail space. So the retail space is existing, and you know, when it was Walmart, it was probably a much higher trip generation than Aldi or Winn-Dixie can generate. So the Land Development Code requires 347 parking spaces. They are at 411 parking spaces. So they exceed the parking requirements.
Well, my question was just, I know they're going to eliminate some of the parking in the current parking lot, so I just want to make sure they were still, right. Even though the retail space hasn't changed as far as the size, you're still taking parking spaces away when you're going to create, you know, a coffee shop.
Absolutely, and the applicant can probably speak towards the timing. So the important thing about a coffee shop versus an Aldi or Winn-Dixie is the peak hour of that use. So right. The peak hour of that use is generally between 7 and 8:30. The grocery store isn't, you know, at that full capacity.
I'd still just like to learn more, hear more about the internal traffic circulation because I'm not crazy about it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I don't have any questions, I just have comments.
Okay. Does the applicant want to speak too? Okay. Do you want to have your comments now, Deputy Mayor, or? Okay. Okay.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, my name is Christopher Gamir. I'm the professional engineer who's the engineer of record for this project. I don't know if you're familiar with the Iliano's Coffee Shop. They're a local brand started in Lake City, and they've sort of spread in sort of the North Florida area, done by just local entrepreneurs or into real estate initially and started this franchise. It's also grown a little bit into southern Georgia and I believe Alabama. Please don't quote me on that. I'm just the engineer. However, they've been very successful in taking shopping centers and adding some revitalization to them. You know, things have changed for some reason. We really like getting our coffee in the morning on the drive coming into it. And with the size of the dual drive-through, it's worked in some other cities, and that was sort of the goal of this sort of franchise coming in and adding additional activity to a shopping center. You know, there may be a shopping center that you're not used to going into, but because in the mornings you usually go in there for the coffee, you might go in there in the afternoon to pick up, you know, something for dinner that night on the way home, you know, because it's your night to bring stuff home. And so that just really helps a lot of these shopping centers get some additional exposure with more local trips, with a smaller footprint. You know, it's not a Starbucks from that standpoint. It's not trying to be everything to everyone. It's trying to satisfy a specific need that a certain shopping center is looking for. So they've been very successful. They've been doing this for a decade now with both types of developments. Existing parking lots like this. We have tons of examples on the website, and some where they take in small sites where it's really hard to fit anything else on there and fit this type of use on the site. And as your planning director was saying, has been very helpful this whole process, is that we met all the parking criteria, but additionally, the trips are just so completely different. Okay, there's some people who like to go first thing in the morning to the grocery store, but that pales in comparison to the number of people getting their coffee in the morning. And then as soon as the afternoon sort of shoppers come in the day, coffee's dropped off to nothing. And so what's beautiful is that then allows, if there was the Thanksgiving shopping period, getting your meal for Christmas out there and the shopping center fills up, well, most of the time the coffee trips are the same trips going to that coffee shop or Five Below or whatever the mixed retail would be. And then they share sort of the same parking space and don't compete for parking spaces from that standpoint. A lot of the other locations don't even have these bypass lanes that we have here, so it allows traffic to move around them. And sometimes there's concerns and questions about, well, it looks like the drive-through lane is blocking someone. Well, of course, cars are moving through this very rapidly, and it actually gives me a point to bring up how this works. So we don't even have order windows. We find with this business model, it's so helpful just to have that one-on-one visual connection. So you go up to the window, you put your coffee order in with the person making your coffee right in front of you, and they get to ask, oh, do you want skim milk with that? Do you want full milk with that? And it's direct connection, very rapid, very fast, very connected when you're doing your orders in the morning. And you get to know the person making your coffee as well versus just an order and you just sort of pick it up by your name. So those are the biggest things that we've thought about with doing these local customized developments in these existing shopping centers all across the state in so many different cities and counties, is that we find these really great niches for this specific use to serve these areas and add a lot of additional activity to a shopping center that may have just maybe certain times of day maybe lacking, et cetera. From that standpoint, this development plan is asking for two exceptions, if you will. I believe that's the technical term, correct? And so the board before really was focusing on traffic in the city in general. And so if I could ask you all, if it pleases you all, to look at the individual items separately, and maybe even vote on them separately. I'll leave that up to you to decide. Because the first one about the landscaping just makes so much sense to take landscaping that would have been internal to the site and buffer the entire shopping center with better trees, et cetera. Versus taking a look at the number of drive-through queuing spaces. And the one, for that reason, we can get into that if you'd like to in more detail. But for example, the eastern drive-through lane that sort of loops back around, well, it can now back up into the entire shopping center, so that really wasn't our concern for that queuing space. But the one on the opposite side, we're trying to keep from going back so far into the shopping center, the grocery store parking lot area, and that's where really the queue length reduction is applicable to. So I'd leave it up to you, and I'm open for any questions if you have any.
Comments, Deputy Mayor?
So I'm glad you broke it down in the two areas. And as far as the landscaping goes, I appreciate the fact that we're actually putting some green on some asphalt because parking lots are generally ugly. I mean, there's just no way of getting around that. So, the exception you want is not putting a landscape buffer on the west side, and it makes perfect sense. You're putting it in other areas. So I'm very appreciative of that. I'm very supportive of that. I know there was a lot of discussion at the planning board. They were worried about stacking out onto Granada. Did that big black line to avoid that stacking, did that happen after the planning board meeting? Or was that the way it was when you presented?
So actually, no, we were talking about that beforehand.
Okay.
That the board just didn't really grasp that the traffic flow would back into the actual shopping center. And it would take a lot of trips in order to actually back out onto the street.
I personally don't have a problem with the project at all. I think adding the green to the parking lot is amazing. I think grabbing a quick coffee is easy.
We actually have the franchisees here tonight.
Yep.
Did
you bring coffee?
Yeah.
Did you bring us coffee?
Yes.
I'm sorry, we didn't want to feel like we were impropriety influenced.
In that case.
No, and I'm not worried about stacking on the Granada. And I think I did read one comment about maybe it would be better to come off on Orchard, and I think that would be even worse. Yeah. So I am in full support of this project.
Commissioner Sargent?
I just have one question. What could go on this plot right now without any exceptions, just so the public knows that what can occur without any approval from this commission with these two exceptions? Good question.
So this site plan could go on there with approval of the site plan review committee if they didn't have the two waivers. So the use is allowed. They could put other uses such as retail, office, restaurants. The key thing is redevelopment, parking, stormwater. So, but the use is fairly broad. But for those two exceptions, the site plan review committee would be approving it.
Commissioner Deaton?
I like the project.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Sargent wasn't done yet.
I just would like to say thank you. I think this is a great project. And these two special exceptions, I think, are a no-brainer. I mean, you're adding 2 lanes to reduce the potential of it backing up. We're getting the landscaping in different areas. I just would like to, and I'm surprised you didn't say this, but could you please use native plants in the landscaping?
I'm trying to train you all.
So I just want that. I'm surprised you didn't say that, Deputy Mayor. But
it's in my notes.
I echo that.
I am in full support of this, and I think it's just looking at it, knowing what could go there, and it's just an enhancement what you're asking for. So thank you.
The word is shade canopy, native shade canopy.
Write that down.
Okay.
Any other questions, Commissioner Sargent? No. Commissioner Deaton?
I like the project. I've read the minutes from the planning board meeting and their potential concerns. I understand them. The traffic volume was reviewed by the site plan review committee and was determined acceptable. I do not believe that a small coffee shop of this magnitude will greatly affect the traffic patterns on Granada. Small drive-through coffee huts like this are popping up all over the country, and I'm pretty pleased that we're looking to get into the game.
Any other questions? Commissioner Sargent?
Move approval.
Oh, before we do that, I just want to say something too.
I'd like to. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Commissioner Briley, go ahead.
I'm still in the no vote on this because I still see traffic flow problems with that parking lot. If you get that coffee shop busy, which I expect it could be, I see Dunkin' Donuts around the corner from my house every morning and some of the traffic. And that site has plenty of stacking as it is and it causes problems. That thing gets busy, you're going to have traffic backing up into these parking spots, and if people can't back out of the parking spots into the plaza. I'm not against the use. Don't get me wrong. I don't like the traffic pattern. I don't like the traffic flow, and that's what I have to look at with some of these things. And I think there's a safety aspect as well. So I'm a no vote. I'm sorry.
Commissioner Sargent?
Just to address that, I sat at Starbucks today out by Aldi's, which is similar, if you will. And there was almost zero people in the Aldi's parking lot, as the Starbucks was pretty full, if you will. And then after that, probably 8:15 mark, if you will, the drive-through almost got completely emptied. So I think that it's key to think of those timing of, like the gentleman said, your morning rush hour, which there's not going to be a lot of traffic at a Five Below or an Aldi's normally. You'll have a few. And then in the afternoons, it drops off. So I think that, like I said before, what y'all are asking for, I think is great, and I'm a yes vote on this, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Sargent. Just one question for the applicant. So, what's the average wait time for an order in the drive-through?
I don't have an answer for that. I just know your queue lengths come up to maybe 5 to 8. That's sort of like a 15-minute period. We kind of hit 8 cars. But you imagine that's got to be pretty quickly because of just the way our different style is. You're not putting an order in and then waiting and paying and then waiting again to then pick it up. So I don't have a specific answer.
Does the franchisee know that's here?
What's that?
Does the franchisee know that's here? The owner?
Yeah, good question. Thank you.
Hi, Trevor Hickman. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and Commissioners for letting me address that. The goal we have is 2.5 minutes. And we have been open in Orange City since November the 7th, and we are getting close to hitting those goals. So typically we're between that 2:15 to no more than 3 minutes. If you have a large order, because we do have some food, it may go a little longer. And that's why on what would be the east side, I believe, we have a second window where we can pull cars up in that case.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
How do you compare that to like the other types of business that do this kind of work, like a Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks? Do you know what their average times are? Or,
I do not.
No?
And the difference in the model is we do not have an inside restaurant. It is specific drive-through on both sides. So we're staffed for that. We're equipped for that.
Okay. Any other questions for the applicant while he's here? No?
Can I just speak to your question about the wait times? So Starbucks, for instance, I specifically sat there 2 different days this past week and weekend to analyze that. Now, they don't have that buffer where they would have to go all the way around. You pull right in. I have sat in the Starbucks parking lot for at least 10 minutes to get my order, and I haven't noticed much of a traffic backup on Granada. I hope the efficiency is a little more, but let's see.
2.5 minutes sounds good then.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah.
With that said, any more questions from the commission?
Move approval.
Second?
Any more discussion? Call the vote, please.
Commissioner Deaton?
Yes.
Commissioner Briley?
No.
Commissioner Tolland?
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent?
Yes.
Mayor Leslie?
Yes. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Welcome to Ormond. I will now close the public hearings. And we're going to move on to line item 9. City Clerk, please read the title.
Ordinance number 2025-05, an ordinance amending section 2-223, Citizens Law Enforcement Advisory Board of Article 6, Boards, Commissions, Committees, and Other Agencies of Chapter 2, Administration of the Code of Ordinances by amending the composition, by repealing all inconsistent ordinances or parts thereof, and setting forth an effective date. This is the first reading of ordinance number 2025-05, read by title only.
Susan, can you speak on this item?
Yes, thank you. During the workshop on December 3rd, 2024, where the commission discussed nominations for the advisory boards, the city commission expressed a desire to add 2 alternates to this board. And so this is the first reading, the first ordinance reading, and there will be a second reading to amend the code. In addition, they had identified 3 individuals that could potentially fill those 2 spots once approved. So this item is to approve the ordinance, first reading, but as well, it would be an opportunity for you all to discuss who you would like to be in those 2 spots, and that the 3 individuals identified were Jennifer Haynes, Barbie Sardina, and Sean Daly.
Thank you, Susan.
Mayor, I move approval of adding the additional alternates.
Second?
And in that, I guess, should we make the names, or do that in a separate motion?
Randy?
We could just...
Yeah, let me jump in here. So you can, what you might want to do is just go ahead and approve the ordinance on first reading this evening. And then once you conclude that, you can talk about who you might want to agree upon for the alternates. And then on second reading, what we'll do is we'll bring back a resolution with the names if you're in agreement this evening. And then after second reading of the ordinance at the next meeting, then you can approve the resolution appointing those people. So my recommendation would be just approve the ordinance. You can have a short discussion about the names that you like, and then we as staff will take that and work a resolution up for the next meeting as well.
Okay.
Thank you, Randy.
I'll move approval then for the alternates.
Okay, second?
Second?
Discussion now would be who we're going to pick, right?
I would like to submit the name Sean Daly.
Well, let's do this first. Just go ahead and take a vote on the ordinance. And
Okay.
then after you conclude that, then you can talk about the...
Okay, yeah, all right. Call the vote, please.
Commissioner Briley?
Yes.
Commissioner Tolland?
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent?
Yes.
Commissioner Deaton?
Yes.
Mayor Leslie?
Yes. So now what we'll do is we'll pick the individuals.
How many did we decide on?
Two.
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 I would submit Sean Daly.
I'm good with Sean Daly, and I also would like to suggest Jennifer Haynes.
I
as the
agree with
second.
you, Commissioner Tolland.
I'm
I
good
like
with both
Sean
those.
Daly and Jennifer Haynes.
I'm good with both of those as well.
Okay, so Sean
Okay.
Daly and Jennifer Haynes.
All right, we'll take that direction. Thank you.
Okay.
Come back.
Okay, we're going to move to 9B. Please read title.
Ordinance number 2025-06, an ordinance amending Section 2-221, Leisure Services Advisory Board of Article 6, Boards, Commissions, Committees, and Other Agencies of Chapter 2, Administration of the Code of Ordinances by amending composition of terms, providing terms and conditions, and setting forth an effective date. This is the first reading of ordinance number 2025-06, read by title only.
Susan, could you just speak on this item too?
Yes, also at the December 3rd workshop, it was discussed how to address the elimination of the pride position from the Leisure Services Advisory Board, and the direction from the commission was to change the member count from 11 down to 10, removing that position. So this is the first reading of the ordinance for that.
So it's to remove pride?
Right.
Okay. Any discussion?
Yep. So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Call the vote, please.
Commissioner Tolland?
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent?
Yes.
Commissioner Deaton?
Yes.
Commissioner Briley?
Yes.
Mayor Leslie?
Yes. 9C, please read the title.
Ordinance number 2025-07, an ordinance amending Section 2-224 Quality of Life Advisory Board of Article 6, Boards, Commissions, Committees, and Other Agencies of Chapter 2, Administration of the Code of Ordinances by amending the composition, repealing all inconsistent ordinances or parts thereof, and setting forth an effective date. This is the first reading of ordinance number 2025-07, read by title only.
And Susan, could you speak on this item as well?
Yeah, similar to the other advisory board, the commission had the desire at the December 3rd commission meeting to add 2 alternates to the Quality of Life Advisory Board. And with that as well, we would be looking for direction on who the 2 individuals would be, so we can bring that back as 3 individuals were identified.
Commissioner Deaton?
I'd like to suggest Debbie Carter and Barbie Sardina. I believe they were applicants.
I'm good with that.
I'm good with that.
Me too.
Okay, we'll take direction on that. Debbie Carter and Barbie Sardina. And then we just need a motion and a second for the ordinance
Motion.
change.
Move approval.
Any discussion? No? Call the vote, please.
Commissioner Sargent?
Yes.
Commissioner Deaton?
Yes.
Commissioner Briley?
Yes.
Commissioner Tolland?
Yes.
Mayor Leslie?
Yes. 10A.
Resolution number 2025-31, a resolution appointing members of the Aviation Advisory Board, setting forth terms and conditions of service, and setting forth an effective date. This is resolution number 2025-31, read by title only.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion? Call the vote, please.
I think.
What?
I think Commissioner Sargent made the motion to
Yes, he did.
approve. I'm sorry. Oh, you're looking for names too, right?
No, not on this
Okay.
one.
Not
This
on
was
this one,
just
right.
the approval of the Aviation Advisory
yeah, I think it
Board
was,
appointments.
I think there was a desire for discussion on this, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, okay.
So discussion, right?
Okay, so we're going to go to discussion. And can you discuss a little bit more on the item, Susan?
Yes, at the December 3rd workshop, there were appointments made by each of the commissioners and the mayor, but there was a desire from the commission to discuss it further, more in particular, the mayor's appointment and Zone 1 appointment.
That'd be Mr. Windall and Dr. Mann.
Yeah, I think that's what Deputy Mayor, do you remember?
I remember that I definitely wanted Dr. Bruce Mann.
Okay.
And I think there was discussion as to your nomination, eliminating who was the chairman before.
Dr. Mann,
you were
yeah.
switching it out.
Yeah.
So if you weren't going to switch it out, if you were switching it out, then I was going to switch to make sure Dr. Mann stayed on that board.
Okay. If you were inclined to do that, I'd like that because I'd like to have Mr. Whitnall. And I talked to Dr. Mann, and I suggested that you might nominate him. So.
Perfect. I read the resume a little bit more in depth of your nomination, and he does seem to qualify very well. So, I'm fine with it.
Okay. Thank you. Any other discussion?
Would you like me to call the vote?
Please.
Okay. Commissioner Deaton?
Yes.
Commissioner Briley?
Yes.
Commissioner Tolland?
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent?
Yes.
Mayor Leslie?
Yes. 10B.
Resolution number 2025-32, a resolution appointing members and alternate members of the Board of Adjustment and Appeals, setting forth terms and conditions of service, and setting forth an effective date. This is resolution number 2025-32, read by title only.
Susan, hold on. Susan, can you speak on the item?
Yes, I can. So at the workshop as well, there were appointments or nominations made for the board as well as the alternates, and there was a desire from the commission to discuss the mayor's appointment for alternate.
Commissioner Sargent?
Yes, I know that there was a question at the workshop regarding your appointment, Mr. Mayor. Just want to know if you're still okay with your appointment or if you want to change that. Because it is your appointment, so just want to know where you stand on this.
Thank you, Commissioner Sargent. I'd actually like to change my appointment to another individual. I'd like to nominate Kenneth Smith.
That's the alternate position, correct?
Correct.
Yes,
any
Mayor,
other,
alternate.
any other discussion? No? Can you call the vote?
Well, I think we need to
I
have.
need a
motion
motion
with the
and a
amended
second.
name.
I need a motion for the amendment, yes.
So was Ken Smith one that had expressed a desire to be on?
Yeah, he was one of two applicants, I believe, that was left that was interested in that.
Were there any other applicants? I can't read. You have my notebook. I could probably look at our notebook.
Yeah.
What other choices there were? Mr. Smith is on another board right now, right?
I think he just got appointed on one today.
This is big. Anybody want to speak while I'm looking?
No, wait.
Thanks, guys. All right. So the alternate.
Board of
Kenneth
Adjustments.
Smith has been appointed to the HR Human Resources Board, so he is on that.
Thank you, Susan.
And then other individuals that expressed interest include Lindsay Pate, Todd Phillips, let's see, but we may have already. Todd Phillips, Michelle Whittick.
I see Jessica Adjusman.
Deborah Carter, James Powers, Ken Smith. Okay.
James Powers and Ken Smith, because
Okay.
some of those interested were appointed for the regular positions.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, does that, Deputy Mayor, any other questions? concerns?
No,
Okay.
I'm pleased that you have made that change. I think that was a good move. I can live with Ken Smith as an alternate.
Okay. Any other discussion? No? Okay, you want to call the vote?
Need a motion in a second.
Oh, you need a motion, yeah. Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion that we approve Resolution 2025-32 with the amended name of Ken Smith for the mayor.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Call the vote, please.
Commissioner Briley?
Yes.
Commissioner Tolland?
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent?
Yes.
Commissioner Deaton?
Yes.
Mayor Leslie?
Yes. We now move on to number 11 on the staff and commission reports, suggestions and requests, starting with City Manager Joy Shanahan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and City Commission. Just a couple of kind of housekeeping things and then some special requests. Your next commission meeting is Tuesday, January 21st. And then following that is your a workshop on February 4th for your Comprehensive Plan 2045 at the regular commission meeting. So you'll have a 5:30 workshop and then a 7 o'clock start. We're still working with our provider to give us some dates for strategic planning, and as soon as we get that from them, we'll schedule those according to your calendar. Bids were open for repairs to Andy Romano Park. The low bid was $2.1 million, which is lower than the engineer's estimate of $2.86 million, which is a first. The recommendation for bid award is scheduled for the February 4th agenda. FPL's contractor, you may have seen, have installed the charging stations for electric cars. Oh, what's the name of the street?
It's in the parking lot on the north side.
On the north side of the parking.
South side.
What's the name of that street? Tomoka Avenue, thank you. So you'll see them there. We're still waiting on delivery of the transformers and the electrical switchgear, so they should be functional sometime soon. It's exciting to see. We've had a special request from the Ormond Beach Historical Society. They are going to be opening an exhibit to the public at the Anderson Price Memorial Building from February 22nd to March 3rd called American Revolution. On February 22nd, they are having a George Washington Gala celebrating the 293rd birthday of George and Martha Washington, George Washington, and they'll have reenactors for George and Martha. Also, during the exhibit time, they plan to offer speakers to elaborate on the tumultuous times that they were going through. They would like the city's blessing and support in this endeavor, and also ask if Mayor Jason Leslie would read a proclamation for February 4th. So the mayor may be working on a proclamation for that. Also, I wanted to let you know that we have determined that the play structure at Andy Romano Park needs to be replaced. It sustained significant damage during the hurricane, and so we would like to go out to bid for that. We'll be bringing something to the commission for that regard. We also have Station 91 fire station structure that's already planned for replacement this year. We would really like to do both of those. We may get some insurance and FEMA money for one or both of those, maybe not because of their age of their structure, but they both need to be replaced. So we'll be bringing something back to you. We've already got Fire Station 91 that's already been bid out. Has it been awarded yet, Sean? Not awarded yet, so we'll bring that back to you. But I just want to let you know about that. The structure at Andy Romano suffered significant damage, I think, from the Hurricane Milton with the sand blasting of the sand blowing up against it. And it's about, 12 years old now?
Yeah, it was the original.
It's the original structure with part of that when we built the park. So the idea would be to replace that play structure at the same time that we complete the seawall improvements and repairs so that we don't shut it down at different times. So that, just let you know, I'm just giving you a heads up that we'll be bringing that back to you. What else do I have? I think that's about it. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have regarding anything on the agenda or anything that you have questions of staff about.
Thank you, Joyce.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, you know what? Actually, I just want to say that.
Inches from a clean getaway.
Yeah. I will say that I did inspect the playground at Andy Romano Park last week, and I will say that it is in really rough condition. I actually saw duct tape around some of the parts of the playground.
It's a miracle thing, duct tape.
So I think it's a really good idea to do this now. I think the park is going to be closed soon to fix the seawall, And I think that we're also going to have the parking fees happening around the same time. It's a very busy park, and I think that it'd be a great thing to do to, for residents to come and be able to, and give them a reason to pay to park there with the playground too. So thank you, Joyce. Any other questions for Joyce? No?
Thank you very much and good night.
Assistant City Manager, Claire.
Just real quickly, while we're on playgrounds, on the Magic Forest at Nova, we do have a work authorization for the repair for the hurricane damage to that playground. It'll probably take about 6 weeks once the work commences, So
6 weeks once it starts?
Yes.
And we don't know when it's going to start?
We hope within 2 weeks.
Great.
So we think we had the work authorization today.
Great. I just had a question just a couple hours ago about that whole playground.
Yeah, it's a very unique playground, so
Yeah.
finding the right contractor took a little bit, but
Thank you.
we're on the way.
And I had I neglected to say that work on Casson Park started today.
Woohoo! Where's Ike when you need him?
I know, he's celebrating in his little hut.
Thank you, Claire. City Attorney, Randy?
Nothing this evening, thank you.
Okay. This evening, we'll start with Deputy Mayor Tolland.
Thank you so much, Mayor Leslie. It's been a while since we've been up here, so I just want to applaud the city for just an absolutely beautiful Christmas or holiday city filled with cheer and a lot of activities for kids of all ages, for people of all ages. I know everyone really enjoyed the season, and I'm personally looking forward to a great 2025. I also want to thank staff for the beautiful dais. This is really, really, really pretty, and the updated technology. And I have to give kudos to Commissioner Sargent for his leadership supporting updated technology. I don't think any of this would happen if he didn't keep persisting on the need. So thank you so much for your leadership with that. Although we haven't had a full commission meeting since December 3rd, we have really done work throughout the holiday. If you want to include some celebrations as work, we've had a lot. We did have that Florida Legislative Conference we went to, tons of DARE graduations, casements, had galas and holiday festivities that were spectacular. Volusia League of Cities had a dinner and a meeting. We had a parade, which was kudos, Robert. Oh my gosh. That parade went on forever, was the beautiful floats, and you all at Leisure Services did an amazing job. I personally attended an opioid abatement meeting, which was very cool. I mean, we're giving away a lot of money to a lot of good organizations and making big changes, and had a special commission meeting. And reference to what Alan was saying with Regrow the Loop, the Regrow the Loop Volusia version 2025. There is a meeting this Thursday, and it's not a meeting of stakeholders, it's going to be a presentation, and it's at 10 o'clock in the library. And there will be a whole calendar of events, and I'm pretty sure the Scenic Loop person gave the information to Jen, so you can start posting it on our website. I do have a suggestion for you, Mayor Leslie. I know you're new to the community, and I know you don't know all the community players, and tonight we talked about advisory boards, and one of the privileges of being a mayor is being able to appoint people to the Goodwill Ambassador Program, and we have some amazing folks that are already on it, and I would really love it if you would consider thinking about Marvin Miller and Debbie Kruk-Forrester as Goodwill Ambassadors sometime within this year. They're here, they represent us well, and I just thought I would offer that suggestion to you, that's your privilege at any time. And final thoughts are, I'm just looking forward to continuing the good work of this past commission, and looking forward to discussing new ideas, new concerns, and keep moving this city forward in a beautiful way that it always does. So with that, I'll say goodnight.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Commissioner Sargent.
That was nice. Short, sweet. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I'd like to thank staff from Kelly McGuire to HR to Joyce, Randy, whatever's thrown at us. Y'all do an amazing job from the top down, bottom up, no matter what it is. Public Works, I just can't say thank you enough for all y'all do for the city of Ormond Beach. Danielle Henderson, I believe she just celebrated her 16th anniversary with the city. Am I right? Or 18th? 17th? I thought it was 16th. But as an officer with our police department, so thank you to her for her service to our community. And all she does with DARE and the community outreach is amazing. Casson Park, as city manager said, is getting demolished, and it's just going to be amazing when it gets done finally. It can't get done soon enough. As long as we can hit that target, Alex, of before July 4th, great. I know that I had that email today, Joyce, with signs that are popping up at the VFW parking lot, which is a public parking lot, that's saying a lot of signs. I don't know if those were authorized by the city for veterans parking, but if we can just look at that to see, because that's taken away from a lot of parking from some of the businesses. The parade was amazing, as you said, and not only Leisure Service does a great job, but Brian Daly, a citizen who puts it all together. And here he is on his 30th year putting that together. I mean,
He keeps running the quit, too.
He said that for 10 plus years that I heard when he always does, but he keeps a great parade, he and Stefan. Correct, but it does a great job, and thank you to the residents for all y'all do as well and all your comments. And with that, I'll say goodnight.
Thank you, Commissioner Sargent. Commissioner Deaton.
I'd like to thank Assistant City Manager for giving the update on the Nova Magic Forest Playground. I do have some notes on that I was just going to kind of go into more clarity, if that's okay. City staff has been actively working on a plan for the Nova Magic Forest Playground that sustained significant damage during Hurricane Milton. They received a quote from Kona Construction, who originally constructed the playground. Once engineering has reestablished Kona as a vendor, a work authorization will be prepared to begin construction of the project. The repairs will take approximately 6 weeks to complete, and staff is looking to engage the services of the contractor through the emergency procurement process. I'm excited to see that back up. The new LED lights at the Hull Road Quad and baseball fields are installed and working beautifully. Baseball season is about to start back up, and with it getting darker earlier, we're excited for this. The designated millage will allow for future upgrades to the Nova baseball fields in the coming years. I'd like to thank Robert Carolyn for always answering my questions on that and everything he had to deal with me for that, so I'm appreciative. Lastly, I'm not sure about the other commissioners, but I am frequently called about the increased transient issue in Ormond Beach. Staff is aware this is one of my top priorities. Today alone, I got multiple calls about new homeless camp in my zone. And we all got a repeat email from a gentleman today regarding the increased transient issue in his area. I've contacted both the realtor and the owners of one of these properties today that seems to have persistent traffic, and I got them the trespass documentation to complete with the help of the police department. I'd like to thank DW for your help on that. Danielle Henderson as well was very helpful. Last month, I asked staff to survey neighboring municipalities regarding what works well to keep them and their communities safe and clean. City Manager Joyce has confirmed the staff is actively working on that survey. If it interests the commission, I would like to propose a workshop to devise a strategic plan regarding the transient issue, as well as what can be done to legally keep up with the Supreme Court rulings, as well as state laws and local ordinances. Then we can develop a proactive plan to combat the issue.
100% on that.
Yeah.
Great idea.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yes, agreed. Commissioner Deaton, anything else?
Dadgummit.
Any other comments, Commissioner Deaton?
Nope, I'm good. Have a great night.
Okay. Commissioner Riley.
Thank you, Mayor Leslie. Just first of all, Happy New Year to everyone. Look forward to working with everyone again and being engaged with our citizens. Staff's going to hate me, so I'm just going to go ahead and get into it. Sean, sorry. Any update on the State Road 40 medians from DOT? as far as removing some of these bump
This one
outs.
got removed, is gone.
Yeah, I
It's
saw
on the
that one's
bridge
gone.
today.
Yeah.
A1A is gone.
And that's about the extent of the update that I have for you. We'll follow up with them to make sure. I know that they were looking at the one at US 1, and I believe that they were looking at the one as you go into Publix and some of the other ones along there. So I think that we had an engineer who was trying to do some traffic calming things, trying to make things a little bit more pedestrian safe, and maybe they were a little bit overzealous in what they were designing. So the one thing that we like to do with it when we engineer and we like to add that extra E is we like to kind of evaluate as we get into it, and if we need to make some modifications to make sure that it works good, we do that. DOT's getting very good about doing that as well, so we'll stick with them and make sure that we don't finish the project until it's the project we want it to have.
Thanks. I knew a couple of them were gone, but I just didn't know what how the rest of them were going. And then I guess I toured with Robert, Carolyn, and Stephen Sibley sometime back a lot of our parks and playgrounds. And I can tell you the Station 91 playground, we can't not do that this year. It really is in rough shape. And if I'm hearing Andrew Romano Park's as bad, where we need to find the money to do it, let's just do it. When I hear duct tape, I start worrying about, I hope there's no immediate safety issues as far as kids using the
Closed?
Oh, it's closed?
Yes, closed.
Okay, the whole park's okay. Lastly, I guess on a high note, we have a resident of our city, Dorothy Engel, who on January 9th will be 104 years old. So just want to wish her a happy birthday. 104 is quite a milestone, and we just want to wish her a happy birthday. With that, I'll say goodnight. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Briley. I'd like to say that, and kudos to Commissioner Sargent for being the advocate to putting this beautiful sound system in. I hope all you all enjoyed it. I remember sitting in the back row and not be able to hear what a lot of things are being said. So I think it was
Taxpayers' money.
But it's really enjoyable to have a nice sound system because we need to be able to hear, you need to hear, and this is how we are transparent in what's going on. So thank you to everyone that was involved in that because it's a really nice system to have. One of the things I read on the proclamation was the 100% Club, and I gave you guys the flyers here just to talk a little bit about what that is. At the legislative conference that we're at, one of the meetings I went to, they talked about Port St. Lucie being the 100% Club. And so when I learned a little bit more about what it was, is that Ashley Moody's office offered online training. It's only an hour to help people identify if you see anybody that might be human trafficked. So what the 100% Club is that every employee for the city, if they're trained, then we are recognized as being in the 100% Club. So I thought it was a really nice thing for us to participate in as a city, especially as, January being Human Trafficking Awareness Month. So I'm really pleased that we are, I think, moving along with that, right, Joyce?
Yes, we've completed the application and just need to do the employee training, which we'll do later this month.
Oh, great. So this is a great program, and I think that it's one of those things where if you see something, say something, but if you don't know what to see, then how are you going to say something? So this was a really good program, and I'm glad to see that the city's going to participate in this 100%. As far as Commissioner Deaton and your homeless thing, I definitely hear that too. I just got a point on the homeless board, so I'm looking forward to finding out more about what we can do to get more participation, getting residents, homeless people to go into the program. I was at the First Step Homeless Shelter a few weeks back, and I spent about 3 hours in the shelter talking to the director and getting a tour and kind of really getting an idea of what they do and how they do it. Now that I'm on the board, I'm going to be really on this thing to try to find out more information and resources and what we can do to combat this homeless issue. I hope everyone had a good holiday. It was a busy holiday season. We had a lot of Christmas stuff going on, and so it was really exciting. We all had a lot of fun. The parade was great, and the The staff did a great job in putting it together, leisure services and everyone involved. So with that, I'm going to close the night. Thank you. The meeting adjourned.